ભાવ ભેદથી ભરેલી ભલી અનંત અનંત નય નિક્ષેપે વ્યાખ્યાની છે. सकल जगत हितकारिणी हारिणी मोह तारिणी भवाब्धि मोक्षचारिणी प्रमाणी छे. उपमा आप्यानी जेने तमारा खविते व्यर्थ આપવાથી નિજ મતિ મપાઈ મેં માની છે. અહો રાજચંદ્ર બાળ ખ્યાલ નથી પામતાએ જીનેશ્વર તણી વાણી જાણી તેણે જાણી છે. ગુરુરાજ તણી વાણી જાણી તેણે જાણી છે. ઓમ નમઃ સિદ્ધેભ્યો. ઓમ નમઃ સિદ્ધેભ્યો. Om Sri Sudatmane Namaha. Jai Jinendra. Today is June 22nd, 2020, Monday, and we are continuing our discussion on Atmasiddhi Shastra. We have come on the third stanza. In third stanza, that the Srimad Ji is telling the really nitty-gritty thing he started right away. First and second stanza are kind of introductory stanza, and third stanza he just goes into the heart of the subject right away and tells us who we are, what are our faults, and how to rectify those faults. First, he identifies the faults within us. He's not talking somebody somewhere else. He's talking about us, ourselves. He said that there are living beings who are blind ritualistic or who are having only dry knowledge. So who is the blind ritualist? Who is having the dry knowledge? He is talking about us, me, myself. He's talking about those kind of, he's talking about us only. So we have talked so much about it. We are on the tail part of the third stanza. So I'll bring the slide and we'll just see from wherever we left last time. We were on this slide here that come with one with the dry knowledge simply talks about nature of the soul. He is like a parrot. Parrot will repeat everything. Parrot will keep on talking nonsense, or maybe it may make sense, but it just purely talking purpose. He just does not understand the meaning of it. I may recite Bhaktama Stotra, I may recite Atmasiddhi Shastra, I may recite Samaisar, I may recite simple Namokar mantra. But do I know what it means? Do I really know what Namokar mantra really means? Well, because my parents told me, so I recite it and that's it, and there's nothing more than that. If we understand Namokar mantra alone, tremendous amount of information in that one. Well, that's not our subject right now, but we can just maybe someday somewhere along the line when it comes, we'll just talk more about it. But that's called dry knowledge without knowing the essence of it. This glass of water has a poison. I just knew it. That's it. But knowing alone is not important. Now I have to act on it, saying that I can't consume this water. That's called real knowledge, applied knowledge, not simply a dry knowledge. His external behavior is still not appropriate, even though he knows. Simply knowing that the glass of water is a poison, tell me how long it takes you to discard that water. Maybe a week, maybe a month, maybe this lifetime, then maybe several lifetimes. Wait a second. This is poison. Sir, this is poison. Needs to be discarded right away. Similarly, when I know this is the soul and it's a beneficial to me, it's a wholesome to me, how long it should take for me to accept that soul? The poison water bottle is discarded right away, but I am the soul. That fact I'm not accepting and digesting and work towards achieving that situation. So those are the things that I do it which are not appropriate. Happy listening to the praises and miserable listening to the insult. Somebody praises me, oh, I'm very happy. Somebody is insulting me, I feel very sad about it. But that's somebody else's opinion. Why you are worrying about it? Miserable in unfavorable situation, happy in the favorable situation. So here, someone may lift the scripture with his body. I am the heavy scriptures are there, and I'm lifting with my body. Other one may lift the scripture through his tongue and thoughts. Well, I know how about 142 stanza by heart. You want me to recite? I can do it right now. But so what? What a big deal. Gandhar Bhagwan, the first disciple of Mahavir Swami or any other Tirthankar, when Lord, omniscient Lord, he utters the word Om. It's called Divyadvani, divine sound. Monosyllable word Om. Just that word Om alone. First disciple Gandhar Bhagwan, like for Mahavir Swami's case, is a Gautam Gandhar. They create 12 original scripture and 14 subchapters, subscriptures. Original canon, 12 canons. First canon, 18,000 chapters. Each chapter has 5.1 million plus sloks. That's the first scripture only. Second scripture, 36,000 chapters. It keeps on going in progressively increasing number, all the way up to 12 original canons. Compared to that, remembering merely 142 stanza, and I consider myself to be the most learned person on this universe. Come on. You have no idea what you are thinking about it. You are so minuscule in terms of a knowledge of the first disciples and everybody. He keeps altered attitude within. He has knowledge of all the scripture, but his attitude, the knowledge of the scripture has to take you to the attitude of the eternal soul substance. Instead, my attitude is to the altered behavior, anger, deceit, ego, greed, likes, dislike, ignorance, etc., states. There is a proverb, it says, Sa vidyaya vimuktaye, means the knowledge has to be such which leads you to the liberation. And here, I have that knowledge, I have remembered those stanza, and I can just recite them just like the parrot reciting, but not knowing anything, and I may be indulged in the activity of anger, deceit, ego, greed, likes, dislike, ignorance, and all those states. What good is that knowledge then? That knowledge which I have not done the application in the right form. He has intense affiliation with the transmigration because he is in the altered state, and altered state is a reason I'm in the transmigration since time infinite, And if I don't wake up today, if I don't do the right thing today, I will continue this transmigration for infinite times in the future. I'll be a biggest fool on the earth. Do I want to be that way? Simply knowing that certain thing is not good for me. Would I take those things? For example, drugs are bad. Will I shoot the drugs in my vein? Well, let's talk the easier thing. On the freeway, you are on the street, you are entering the freeway, and there is an exit and entry ramps up side by side. On the exit ramp, it says, wrong way, do not enter. Big letters are written in the red letter. Do I enter the freeway through the exit ramp even in my dream? No way. That knowledge has settled down so deep within. Similarly, all this knowledge or spiritual knowledge also has to get settled down within me, within the soul. Someone may say that universal monarch possesses immense wealth. Universal monarch, Bharat Chakravarti, the son of Rishabdev, Shantinath Bhagwan, Kuntunath Bhagwan, Ornath Bhagwan, they were universal monarch. What's a universal monarch? Chakravarti, what is it? We are living in a area of Bharat. Southern area of the Jambu Dweep, Jambu Island is called Bharat. And in the Bharat Kshetra area of Bharat, there are 6 divisions. And universal monarch is the one who is a king of all these 6 divisions. Huge, huge achievement. So someone says universal monarch has an immense wealth. This wealth is undescribable. Sometimes when when the description, we may say it is exaggeration, but that's not. So as he can, now remember, he has 96,000 wives and 96 million army with him. Universal monarch, his food is getting prepared 365 days before. Prepared in the sense, preparation starts all the way, and then on the day of his meal, that preparation gets completed. His food is such that whole army of 96 million can eat, still there is remaining food, food will remain. So that kind of wealth and auspiciousness he has it. So he can, so I can also remain in equanimity state during worldly enjoyment state. Even though universal monarch Chakravarti, he has all this immense wealth, but still he remains in equanimity state. He has no inclination of attachment, he has no inclination of aversion. He doesn't say, look at my wealth, so huge wealth. No, nothing like that. So somebody can say, if the universal monarch with all the immense wealth can remain in the equanimity state, I can also do the same thing by enjoying the worldly affair. I want to compare myself to the universal monarch. But how did universal monarch obtain self-realization? I don't want to learn that part. I just want to look at his immense wealth only. By such belief, he is insulting infinite enlightened personalities, because universal monarch, even though having immense wealth, he did his own personal effort and realized his soul. So I don't want to realize my soul. I just want to imitate about the wealth only. So that's insulting to the infinite enlightened personalities. Enlightened soul may have mild toxic emotions present. Remember, when we come to this state later on in some of the stanzas, what happens? I am in the wrong faith state. Now I make my personal effort and I realize my soul, that's called Samyak Darshan or right faith or enlightenment. Means my purity has started gradually with my personal effort going up and up and up and up. I have my increase in the purity. When the purity starts increasing, impurity proportionately starts decreasing. But while and when the purity is completed, impurities totally disappear. But while this phase is going on, it's called aspirant phase, sadhak dasha, from fourth spiritual development state all the way to 12th and 13th spiritual development state. So while my purity keeps on increasing, impurity keeps on decreasing, means I still have some impurities present. Mild toxic emotions are still present, but the soul who has realized his soul, he doesn't take ownership on these toxic emotions. What are all these new words we are throwing at you? Ownership means this is a pen. That's a knowledge. But this is my pen. I have ownership on it. This is a phone. I don't like this phone. Why? It's an old phone. Why? I would like to buy a new phone. So I put ownership on the object. Enlightened soul also has some mild toxic emotion, but he has no ownership on the object. He knows that it is his weakness that he has a mild toxic emotions and he works at it to remove. And me, right now, I become angry, for example, and I justify my anger. Because such and such person did not behave, so I had to become angry. Who says so? Am I the one who is going to purify the whole world? I have no problem, no understanding of my own self, and here I am trying to improve the whole world. It's just the nature of a foolish person. He's aware of this enlightened person is aware of his mild toxic emotion and tries to increase his spirituality in such state. So he's aware of these weaknesses and he tries to remove them. That is his activity. I have my weaknesses. I never try to work on it. In fact, I just say that those weaknesses are my strength. I become angry, so as soon as I enter my house, everybody starts shivering. I take pride in that angry state. Sure, because I would like to continue my transmigration throughout the infinite time. That's why I behave that way. In a similar situation, the ignorant soul increases his transmigration. This person has evidence of his weaknesses and he's aware of it and he wants to remove that. This guy, ignorant guy, has a similar situation, but he increases his ignorant state, and that's why he increases transmigration. Sorry state of affair for those souls. Over here, we have knowledge and religious acts. The balance is there. I have to put the feet in both the balances and I have to maintain the balance. If I have only knowledge, there is a dry knowledge. Only religious act, blind ritualistic. When I have both the things, in absolute balance, then I am on the right path of spirituality. So I have to make sure that whatever I know, I apply, and for application, I use these religious acts. For example, I want to increase my spirituality and I want to increase my knowledge of the soul. Now, what a religious activity? For example, I may say, I'm going to eat once a day today, ekasam only. Now, two times, instead of three times a day eating, I'm eating once only, or I do fasting, for example. Each meal takes about 2 to 2.5 to 3 hours of the person. In the sense, preparation for the food, actual food intake, and then laziness following the food intake. It takes 2.5 to 3 hours with each meal. Now, if I'm doing a religious act of quote unquote fasting, now I have 6 to 8 hours at my disposal that I can start reading the scripture, try to increase my knowledge. So, with this balancing act has to be obtained by a person. Now, Srimadji has said few places about ignorant being and enlightened being. For example, sorry, um, yeah, sorry. Ignorant being, he says, who nirantar prapanchma padyo chu, means since time infinite I am engrossed in the worldly affair. This is the kshamapna. You are aware of the kshamapna. Hey Bhagwan, hu bahu bhuli gaye, main tamara amulya vachan lakshma lida le. That whole lesson is a kshamapna. When the future, when we have time, we will just do this kshamapna. It is an amazing amount of truth hidden inside. Simple 1.5 page, 1.5 page of writing, but amazing amount of facts are written inside. Like for example, it says that nirantar prapancha, since time infinite, I am engrossed in the worldly affair. Means worldly affair I am engrossed means a kriya jad, means a blind ritualistic. Then it says agnanti andhatavasya, I am blinded by my ignorance. So it's a shushka gnan, means a dry knowledge. So even in that kshamapna, Srimadji gives mentions about this blind ritualist and also the dry knowledge person. At the same time, he also notices about the nature of the enlightened being, who is having the right knowledge and who is performing right physical, right activities. What it says, ek pal pan tamara tattvani shanka na tha, means for a single moment, I don't want to have any doubt about the truth that you have propagated. This about the right knowledge he is talking. તમારા કહેલા રસ્તામાં અહોરાત્ર રહું રહું, એ જ મારી આકાંક્ષા અને વૃત્તિ થાઓ. I desire to be staying in the pathway laid by you. So this is the right activity. This is the right knowledge. This is the wrong activity and wrong knowledge. He mentions all this thing in Kshamapna part also. And again, it's in a simple Gujarati that anybody speaking Gujarati can know by heart. But if you want to have it, I have the things also translated into English. If you can't remember by Gujarati or it's difficult for you, let me know. I can just give you the English version also. You can remember by heart, and by doing that one morning and evening, before going to sleep, after waking up, when we do that lesson, that Kshamapna lesson, the forgiveness lesson, that refreshes your mind and it makes your day go very spiritually great. And I'm telling you from my personal experience, so you have to You have to believe that because it really, really works really great. So you have to try to do that. So this is the way he has said in his different writings also. Oh, then Kriyajad and Shushkagnani. I didn't have time to translate, and it's long translation, but I will do it on the online right now over here. यमनीयम संयम आप कियो पुनित्याग विराग अथाग लियो वनवास लियो मुख मौन रहो दृढ़ आसन पद्म लगा दियो मन पौन नरोद निरोध सबोध कियो हठ जोग प्रयोग सुतार भयो जप भेद तपे तप त्यों ही तपे उर्से उदास लही सबसे सब शास्त्रन के नय धारी लिए मत मंडन खंडन भेद लिए यो साधन बार अनंत कियो तदपि कछु हाथ हाजू न पड़ो. So what it says over here, actually, this is a Yam Niyam a poem that Srimadji has written. What he says about the blind ritualistic guy, he mentions that, you know, I had done lots of rituals. I observed lots of quietness. I have given up lots of food items. I also went down into the seclusion. I remained in silence for days together. I sat down in a corner of my house by sitting in one place for hours and hours and hours. All these things I have done it, but nothing has happened. What is missing here? Because I'm doing blindly all these acts without thinking the meaning for those things. Then he talks about dry knowledge person. He said that I read all the scripture in depth. I just said why this spiritual is great and why the other spiritualities are refuted. I did that one again and again and again for time infinite in the past, but nothing happened. So those type of things, even in the poem also, he gives message to us, hidden message to us, what are our faults. So that having said that, we can just say, ignorant being on the path of wrong understanding, and erroneously believes that it is helpful to him. He is actually in the wrong path. He has a dry knowledge. He is a blind ritualist, but he thinks that he's the greatest of the great, and he's doing the best thing. Erroneously believes that it's helpful to him. Srimadji says, I have compassionate feeling for such souls. He has no hatred for such soul. He has simply compassionate feeling for such souls. He thinks to help such ignorant beings because he's so compassionate that he has that inclination to help ignorant beings. He therefore shows the pitfalls in both the path and shows how one can come on the real path. So he gives this introductory remark in the third stanza, and then he says, now I'm going to go one thing at a time in detail. He just gave the cursory remark on the blind ritualistic guys and the dry knowledgeable person. Now, one at a time, he's going to talk about these things and give us much more in-depth analysis of such type of things. So here we have this finished, we have this stanza, we have finished stanza 3, and so I will take this stanza out and we'll just go to the next stanza. If there is any question, please interrupt me anytime.